Tweed Knox, the minor officials from the Minnesota area, and the alternate referee, as they do have in the Stanley Cups, John McCutcheon, series supervisor Matt Pavlich, and here's Dan Kelly for the opening faceoff.
Game 3, and the series is tied 1 game apiece, and the Blues get immediate possession. Guy Lapointe fires it into the Winnipeg zone. Sutter in after it. He's knocked off the puck, and back comes David Babich to the rookie Howard Chuck. Howard Chuck into the St. Louis zone. His shot went off Lapointe's stick wide of the net. Now Paderco taken out of the play by Hopkins on the left wing side. Now here's Lapointe clearing it on right wing to Mullen. Mullen couldn't get it out of the zone, but Guy Lapointe does. To Joe Mullen, who flips it to center ice to Sutter. Sutter across the line to Paderco. Here's Paderco, drops it to Brownscheitel, and his shot goes off a stick and deflects into the corner. Sutter in there for the Blues. Sutter to Joe Mullen, now to Rick Wilson. His shot off a skate. In front, Wilson, a backhander. Oh, and he shot it just wide as Wilson got his own rebound. Now Mullen's shot deflects wide. Here's Paul McLean. Pounded into the boards by Sutter, but McLean then knocks down Brownscheitel's shot and cleared it to center ice. Here are the Blues with Paderco shooting it in. Don Spring knocked it down. Back comes Spring for Winnipeg, firing it off the boards into the St. Louis zone. And Jerry Hart has it for St. Louis to Perry Turnbull. Turnbull got it to center. Now Turnbull bumps with Willie Lindstrom. Turnbull's playing on left wing on a line with Dunlop and Babich. Here are the Jets clearing it in. Liut cleared it aside, and Rick Wilson has it for the Blues, gives it to Dunlop, to Babich at center, now to Turnbull, and that's tipped away by Savard. Here's Lindstrom into Thomas Steen into the Blues zone. Steen out in front, has a chance, shoot, they score! Lundholm set up at the edge of the crease by Thomas Steen on a great play by the 2 Swedish imports, particularly Thomas Steen, who set it up, and Winnipeg goes in front 1-0.
Left side of that net was wide open, and a great play. They played a give-and-go situation. Mike lead over to the right, and here's what happened.
To Bent Lundholm, assisted by number 25, Thomas Steen. Time in the goal, 1:39. Lundholm.
You talk about setting someone up. Steen dotted the T in the I and did everything but put it in. Lundholm just had to slip it by Liut after a great play by Steen.
It was a super play. They played give-and-go, as I mentioned, and it paid off.
Here are the Jets, who have taken the lead 1-0. Tim Waters clearing it in. Back is Brownscheitel to Wayne Babich. Babich on right wing, clearing it to center. Now Lukowicz knocks it down, shot it in behind the Blues goal. Here's Brownscheitel on left wing to Turnbull. Turnbull to Blake Dunlop. Bottled up in their own end in that last 30 seconds.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets undoubtedly are recognized as one of the top speed skating teams in all of the National Hockey League. They utilize that speed by getting in very early, right deep in the opposition zone. And boy, they can harass and make defense and make a lot of bad passes, not giving them the time to do the things that they know should be done, as exemplified here by even veteran Guy Lapointe along with Rick Wilson out there just a moment ago.
Here's a face-off to the left of the Blues goal. Patey against Steen. Patey wins the draw. Brownscheitel in behind his own goal. Patey, Crombeen, and Klassen up front as Brownscheitel cleared it to center. It's knocked down there by Mo Mantha. He cleared it back in, but Brownscheitel shot it to center ice. The Jets are checking very well. Back they come with Morris Lukowicz beaten to the puck, but here's Willie Lindstrom back to the net. Lindstrom takes a hit from Patey, and now Kia cleared it on right wing for Crombeen, who drops it back to the net to Kia. Over to Jack Brownscheitel. Brownscheitel out of his own zone to Patey. He's checked. Now Lukowicz had it. Patey gets it again, and he comes to center with a pass to Klassen. Klassen couldn't get it into the zone. Here's Brownscheitel back to Ralph Klassen, who flips it into the Winnipeg end of the rink. David Babich back for it. Crombeen into forecheck. Gets some help from Klassen. Crombeen coming up with the puck. Trying to center, but the Jets break it up, and Steen shot it to center ice. Brownscheitel back to his own blue line. Here's Jack Brownscheitel. Tried to clear it in, knocked down by McLean. Back comes Winnipeg. Mantha feeding Howard Chuck. And then Kia tried to hit Howard Chuck but missed him. But the play was offside anyway on a 2-line offside pass from inside the Winnipeg blue line to the St. Louis side of center ice. Some of the fans are getting very frustrated with the Blues in their own end, but there's a reason for that. Winnipeg is right on top of them.
Not one man, but two men getting in very deep and early, and that's going to be the secret to success here in the National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoffs.
Here are the Blues with LaPointe at center ice, playing one off the boards in behind the Winnipeg goal. Sotard back to the net check. Here's Mullen in front. Shoots. They score! Sutter got Mullen's rebound. And the Blues come back to tie it at 1-1.
The moral of this story, get in deep and early and do a good job of forechecking. Joey Mullen did exactly that. Followed in by Bernie Federico. Puck came out to Mullen. He let a shot go. A save by Sodart. The rebound came out to Sutter, about 8 feet out in front to the right of Sodart. And here's what happened.
Playoff score for number 11, Brian Sutter. Assisted by number 7, Joe Mullen. Time of the goal, 7:36.
Well, this is only game 3 of the series, Gus, and that's Sutter's 4th goal. Do you think he's on top of the game when the money's on the line?
You better believe it. He is at all times, Dan. I'll tell you, he set a tremendous pace for the rest of the Blues to follow.
Here the Blues trying to move into the Winnipeg zone, and the play goes offside at the Winnipeg blue line. The Blues' strategy tonight is taking Jorgen Pettersson out of the lineup and playing Perry Turnbull in his place on left wing with Dunlop and Babbage on the forward line. Now the loose puck at center ice taken by Blake Dunlop. He couldn't clear it in as he was checked, and here comes Smale for Winnipeg, dropping it back, and that shot to on the drop pass to Deblois was high off the glass. Now a loose puck held along the boards at center ice by Dunlop and Spring, and we'll have a face-off.
First time he's seen action, Dan, and in a situation where Patey was in serving a penalty, and against the powerful Winnipeg Jet power play, Mike Zook came out, did a tremendous job.
The Blues have now outshot Winnipeg 9-6. The score tied 1-1. Here from the face-off, Patey trying to drop it back. Did Crombeen couldn't handle it. And back comes Willie Lindstrom. On left wing to Lundholm. He's checked by Ed Kia on the play. Kia clears it. Here's Hart picking it up, and Jerry Hart carries to center ice. He fires the long one into the Winnipeg zone. Crombeen in after it. Crombeen couldn't center it, and bent Lundholm. Starts back for Winnipeg. Lundholm out of his own zone to center ice, in across the line. Lundholm, tied up by Hart, gets loose, centered, and Steen just missed, tipping it in. Now Crombeen on the boards to Kia, over on left wing for Perry Anderson. Here's Anderson, the rookie, moving in with a shot, and Sotard makes a stick save. Winnipeg try and clear it. Mullen held it in. Mullen moving right in on goal. Shoots, he scores! Joe Mullen! Gus, Kyle, you talk about an exciting hockey player. You just saw him, Joe Mullen.
You better believe it. I'll tell you, I've seen many of them over the years, but he is a very exciting young man. Plays with intensity. He jumped over the board on a playoff change. I'll explain it later, but here's what happened.
Number 7, Joe Mullen. Time of the goal, 14:24. Mullen unassisted at...
So an unassisted goal by Mullen, and the Blues have the lead for the first time in this game at 2-1. Back comes Don Spring for Winnipeg to center ice to Christian. Dave Christian into the blue zone to Lukowicz. He couldn't get his shot away as he was checked from behind. And Sutter has it in the corner. Sutter now hemmed up against the boards, and it's held there. And now we'll have a face-off in the St. Louis zone. Mullen's goal was unassisted. At 14:24, he stole the puck of the Winnipeg defense, walked around the defense, made a couple of moves, and really faked out Doug Sotard, and then put it in.
The ironic thing about it, Dan, was it was on a line chain. He jumped over the boards, hesitated, looked back to Coach Emil Francis to see if he should go on or not. Emil waved him on, and he went in, stole the puck from the Winnipeg defense, and that's exactly what happened. What a tremendous move, and not that much room to make the move in front of Sotard.
Here's Dave Babbage from a face-off with a shot that takes off goes off a stick, I should say, and then is caught by Liut, and he held onto it, and we'll have a face-off now in the St. Louis zone to the left of Liut. The Blues 2, Winnipeg 1. Fans holler, "Let's go Blues." Here's Howard Chuck winning a face-off. Back to the point. Babbitt's shot right along the ice. Liut stopped that and held on to it. And we'll have a face-off again. Back to center. Waters then feeds Lundholm. Lundholm clearing it into the St. Louis zone. Brownscheitel has it there to Guy Lapointe. Lapointe on right wing to Crombeen. He crosses center and fires it into the Jet zone. Sotard back of the net trying to clear it. Here is LaPointe holding it in. Now Babbage held it in, but Waters gets it again, gives it to Christian. Now to Tim Waters at center. Waters on left wing into the blue zone, trying to center one, and D. LaPointe took him out of the play nicely. Good defensive play by LaPointe. Here's Dunlop back of his own goal to Brownscheitel. Brownscheitel clears to Turnbull. Mantha checked him. Now Brownscheitel again. This time cleared it over onto the right wing boards to Babbage, who tips it to Guy LaPointe. At center ice to Turnbull. Turnbull into the Winnipeg zone. Turnbull on left wing. Shoots from a bad angle, and Sotard held the post and made the save. Now Wayne Babbage out in front, into the corner to Dunlop. Back in front, they score! Blake Dunlop shot deflected in, and the Blues lead 3-1 as Dunlop's shot, I believe, deflected in off a Winnipeg defenseman.
Yes, it did, Dan. It hit his left skate and went right into the corner to the right on the ice behind Doug Sotard. Time of the goal, 8-10. Some good forechecking by Babbage. He'll get an assist on it as he threw it back in the corner. Here's what happened.
First of the playoffs, scoreboard number 19, Blake Dunlop. Assisted by number 10, Wayne Babbage. Time of the goal, 8-10.
There you hear the announcement. Dunlop's shot was more of a centering pass, but it hit David Babbage, the Winnipeg defenseman, and deflected in. And the Blues have a 3-1 lead. Now as Hart tried to flip one high in the air.
No, he couldn't fly. It was in behind the net on the right-hand side, right on the ice before he even had a chance to turn around.
The Blues 3 and the Winnipeg Jets 1 face off at the center ice red line. The Blues drop it back to Jerry Hart. Hart in the center ice area over to Sutter. Sutter now clearing one into the Winnipeg zone. Sotard back of the net, leaving it there. Spring trying to clear it. Held in by Mullen. Now to Sutter in front of the net. Brian Sutter couldn't get a shot. Fired it back of the goal to Mullen. Mullen trying to kick it loose on those boards. Fedorko in to help out, but the Jets come up with the puck, and handling it is Howardchuk, who just flips it off the boards to the St. Louis blue line, with Jerry Hart going back to get it. Hart for St. Louis in his own zone, sliding it back of the net to Ed Kia. Kia now cleared it to center ice. Broken up there by Spring. Spring checked by Mullen, and here comes Ed Kia. Kia across the center, fired a long one in. Sotard makes the save. Feeds it on right wing to Serge Savard. Up the middle at center ice for Morris Lukowicz. He shoots one, and Liut kicked out his left leg to stop that shot. Now Mullen for the Blues, sending Klassen to center ice to Larry Patey. Patey into the Winnipeg zone. Patey leaving it for Crombeen. Crombeen cuts in front, shoots. He scores! Mike Crombeen, and it is 4-1 for St. Louis.
What a big goal that is, Dan. Did that puck deflect again? It seemed to change direction. A good second effort. I didn't think Mike Crombeen was going to get any handle on the shot. He kicked it up in front of him with his right skate, and then just as his puck hit the stick, he let a shot go. Here's what happened.
The playoff scoreboard number 26, Mike Crombeen. Assisted by number 6, Larry Patey. And number 28, Ralph Klassen. Time of the goal, 9:32.
So the Blues have a 4-1 lead. Now the Jets come back into the blue zone. Guy LaPointe broke it up and shot it out, but the play was offside anyway at the Winnipeg Jets blue line. We're going to pause here for station identification.
This game is going to get out of control. He doesn't listen to me anyway, does he?
Paul McLean, 2 minutes for charging. Time in the penalty, 18:49. McLean for charging at 18:49.
So each team will be a man short. A minor penalty to McLean. Brownscheitel is already in there. He has 1:42 left. Meanwhile, 1:11 remaining in the second period. The Blues have scored 2 goals to build up a 4-1 lead. Bernie Fedorko and Brian Sutter will be the Blues forwards, with Kia and Hart on defense.
I was just going to say, Dan, if the Blues, that is, can keep the Jets off the scoreboard and skate in to their locker room at the end of this period, leading 4-1, that'll be a good shot in the arm for them.
Here's Fedorko from the faceoff, clearing one down the ice. Going back after it is Dave Babbage in behind his own goal. Babbage trying to work it out on left wing, does to Howardchuk. Howard Chuck trying to clear it in. Hart knocks that down. We're in the final minute of the second period. Here's Jerry Hart. Stick handling into the Winnipeg zone. Gives it to Paderco. Now Paderco on the right wing boards trying to make a play. Dropped it back. The Jets break it up and away they come. Christian's pass to Howard Chuck into the St. Louis zone. A shot. Liut the save. Rebound. And he stopped that too. It's still loose. And Kia knocked it down. Oh, the Blues got caught there on a drop pass by Paderco, and the Jets broke out. Now Sutter into the Winnipeg zone. He shoots. He scores! Sutter does a little dance to celebrate the goal that gives the Blues a 5-1 lead. And Gus, that came after Liut had made 2 great saves at the other end.
We were talking about that this morning at the Winnipeg Jets workout with Coach Tom Watt and the manager John Ferguson. Here's the announcement on Sutter's big goal.
Score number 11, Brian Sutter. Assisted by number 17, Ed Kia. Time of the goal, 19:35.
Well, Sutter's second of the game, his 5th of this series, which is only in the second period of Game 3. And the Blues have a 5-1 lead. Each team a man short when that goal was scored. We're down to 25 seconds left in the period. The face-off at center ice. The Blues come up with it, and Guy Lapointe gives it to Patey. Here's Patey into the Winnipeg zone. Patey trying to work it in. Patey still has the puck. Stick handling. Patey shoots. Oh, and he shot it just wide. Now Patey centered one, and it's knocked away by Steen. Steen with 5 seconds left back of his own goal. Drops it to Savard. The buzzer goes, and the second period is over. And the Blues are loudly cheered as they leave the ice after a strong second period. Right wing to Mantha. He shot at the center. Hart knocking it down, giving it to Guy Lapointe. Now to Blake Dunlop, who drops it back to Lapointe. And Lapointe for the Blues in his own zone. Drops one back to Jerry Hart into the center ice area to Dunlop. Dunlop circling for the Blues. Now Brownscheitel is back on. The Blues on a brief power play. Dunlop into the Winnipeg zone. Gets by a check from David Babich. Dunlop into forecheck. Gets it to Wayne Babich, but he's checked by Christian, who clears it out of there. And the Blues have to go back as Brownscheitel turns in his own zone. Brownscheitel got it to center ice. Intercepting it there is Mantha. Now the Jets are back at full strength as Mantha fires it into the Blue zone. Wayne Babich is there. Babich on right wing got it to center ice. Don Spring knocked it down. Now here's Perry Turnbull clearing it near the Winnipeg line. Serge Savard shot it to center. That's broken up. Here's Savard again back to pick it up. Clears it to center, and Zook intercepts. Zook to Brownscheitel. He shot it into the Winnipeg zone. Savard has it to Don Spring. Back to Savard. Serge Savard moving out of his own zone with a lead pass. Tipped in by Jimmy Mann into the Blue zone. Mark Reed's back to get it. Here's Mann knocking it down on the boards. Cleared it in behind the goal, and Ed Kia for the Blues tried to get it out and did to center ice. Smale has it there to Savard. Here's Serge Savard in his own zone. Anderson runs him in against the boards. And Anderson with some aggressive forechecking against the veteran Savard forces a faceoff just inside the Winnipeg blue line.
Out for the Winnipeg Jets comes Howard Chuck. He'll take the center ice spot. Over in the right side, Paul McLean. On their left side, Lukowicz. And whenever you see Howard Chuck out there, you're going to see Bernie Paderco facing off against him. Klassen's on the left side, Joey Mullen on the right side.
Here from the faceoff, Hart for the Blues, shooting one into the Winnipeg end of the rink. Mullen in after, shoots, he scores! Joe Mullen with a long shot that Sotard actually put into his own net with his goal stick. Gives the Blues a 6-1 lead. Mullen won't score an easier one than that.
Well, after all the great chances that he had in Winnipeg, kept working and plugging away, and they average out over a season. And that's what happened here. Mullen is second of the night, second of the series at 154. Blues 6, Jets 1.
The Easter Bunny's supposed to come at Easter, not Santa Claus, but Santa Claus just gave Joe Mullen a visit. Here's Mullen in front of the net again, and Savard broke that up. Here's Serge Savard to Don Spring. Spring clears one to center. Now the Jets on the attack. Lukowicz working it in on right wing. Here's McLean with a centering pass. Nobody in position to get it. Now the Jets drop it back to Waters. He's checked, and here comes Paderco to center ice. Paderco into the Winnipeg zone to Mullen.
Scored the only goal for the Jets, and that incidentally put them in the lead at 1:39 in the first period. And the Blues since then have come back with 6 unanswered goals, 2 by Sutter, 2 by Mullen, Dunlop, and Crombie the others. Face-off coming up deep in the St. Louis zone in the circle to the left of Mike Liut. Jerry Hart comes off for a breather, and he's replaced by Ed Kia. Rookie Rick Wilson on the right side of that defense. Boy, he's played tremendous in this series. A real pleasant surprise for the fans here, a 19-year-old rookie.
The Quebec Nordiques have defeated Montreal 2-1. Quebec leads that series 2-1. Here are the Jets. Mantha shoots from the face-off and scores. Mo Mantha from the right point got it away, and it seemed to deflect off someone in front of the net and go up into the top corner. And the Jets cut the St. Louis lead to 6-2. As they won the face-off, got it back to the rookie Mantha. His shot deflected. Here's the announcement.
Playoff score number 2, Mo Mantha. Assisted by number 25, Thomas Steen, and number 22, Bent Lundholm. Time of the goal, 6:08.
Now the Blues with Bill Baker seeing action for the first time. Beats Mike Crombie, who shot it into the Winnipeg zone. Larry Patey back to get it. He kicks it loose, and Lundholm has it for Winnipeg. Trying to get into the St. Louis zone. Jerry Hart intercepting that. Hart now clears one to center. That's broken up, and Baker stick handles, lost control of it. Now took Steen out of the play, and that allows Crombie to get to the puck and drop it into his zone to Patey. Patey shot it back in front of his own net. Dangerously close to the net, but Baker gives it to Patey. Patey on right wing to Crombie, who got it into the Winnipeg zone. Dave Babich and Crombie fight for it, and they hold it there, and we'll have a face-off in the Winnipeg zone. Quebec Nordiques 2, the Montreal Canadiens 1.
Thursday night 5-2. Blues now leading 6-2 here with 8:20 remaining. They can wrap it up with a win here tonight and tomorrow night.
Pittsburgh has won in overtime over the Islanders. Rick Kehoe got the winning goal. 4:14 of sudden death overtime. Pat Boutet had the other Penguins goal. Mike McEwen scored for the Islanders. But Kehoe with the winner in sudden death overtime. And the Penguins defeat the Islanders 2-1 to stave off elimination. The Islanders still lead the series 2-1 with the 4th game in Pittsburgh tomorrow night. Back comes Howard-Chuck for Winnipeg on right wing to McLean. He shoots and scores as he surprised Liut with a quick shot. And with 8:04 to play, that cuts the Blues lead down to 6-3. Paul McLean with a quick shot.
Boy, he did. He surprised Mike Liut. I don't think Mike was ready for that shot. It was about 35 feet out. Not at a good angle. Here's the announcement.
15, Paul McLean. Assisted by number 10, Dale Howard-Chuck, and time of the goal, 11:56. McLean from Howard-Chuck at 11:56.
Here are the Jets, who have cut the Blues lead to 6-3. Shoot it in. LaPointe shoots it right back out. Out of the goal is Sotard to clear it away. Now digging in after it is Mullen. Mullen shoots, and Sotard the save on the short side, and play is called, and we're going to have a penalty here. And it's going to be against the Blues, Bernie Paderco, for a penalty in the offensive zone. And we're going to pause for station identification. This carries on left wing to center ice with 23 seconds left. Got it to the Winnipeg line. Waters intercepts that. Shot it to center, and here's Brownscheitel trying to clear it back in. Waters knocked it down again. 15 seconds left. Crombie for the Blues shooting it in. Going back for Winnipeg is Mantha. He cleared it on the boards. Klassen held it in to Crombie, whose shot is blocked. Mantha cleared it away, a bouncer. Liut stops that, and the game is over as the St. Louis Blues defeat the Winnipeg Jets 6-3, and the Blues take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-5 series with Game 4 set for 8 o'clock tomorrow night.